Time for some updated thoughts on the markets, and I'm going to do some reviews of some indices, some individual stocks, just to give you my opinion on what I think is going to happen. And first, on the monthly chart here, I got the Dow Jones pulled up, and it is only 2 days left, right? Less than 2 days now for the monthly close. And this is the candle right here. This is a nice 4% monthly candle for the Dow Jones. This is my arc. It's looking like it's flipping that arc to a support, right? And we can see that it was a resistance with this monthly candle right here going up and touching the arc. And now it's breaking above. So just a simple back test of that could happen just around 40,000 or so. But I want to point out on the weekly chart here that it's still trending very nicely, right? We can see that it's still going higher and higher. And on this previous week, this candle right here, it almost back tested the conversion line. But not only that, it went back and back tested these previous candles as well, right? And I think that's a really bullish scenario for a continuation higher because it's not necessarily going to roll over now because it already successfully back tested these levels that were the previous highs, right? So that is a good sign for a continuation higher and higher. And when you take a look at the SPX right here on the monthly chart, you can see the exact opposite, right? The exact opposite is happening with the SPX, that it wicked through resistance up here and now it's turning into a doji candle. And usually doji candles on a monthly basis, they could turn into a reversal sign, right? It could be a green candle here, a doji here, and possibly a red candle here going back to retest levels. So this is kind of like a warning sign for the S&P 500. It looks like there is some sort of topping formation, maybe a temporary top just to consolidate, which is giving proof of a rotation into the Dow stocks into the IWM. And that leads me to the IWM right here. And I'll put that on the weekly chart for you guys. And this is exactly what I'm seeing, right? So yesterday, it just wicked through my arc. It wicked through that 3.618 Fibonacci level, 221, right? And it held so far. So if this week holds that level, well, guess what? This looks like it's going to flip to support, right? And if this flips to support, then that will gravitate to the next set of arcs right here. And that'll be around 238 and maybe even 239, 240, right? And then not only that, what sits above there is the full extension from that financial crisis Fibonacci, and that's at 253. So this is where price, in my opinion, is going to gravitate towards if this 3.618 holds throughout the week as a support, right? Which is even more proof of a rotation into small caps and possibly even growth, right? And that leads me to the QQQ. And where do we see that? Yeah, it got rejected up here. There was no resistance on my GAN up here. It was up here at 530, but this is just a normal pullback. And I think what's most likely to happen now is I don't think this is going to hold, right? I think this 458 level right here won't hold. And I think it's going to successfully backtest this arc because you can see right here so many times that price has touched this arc as a resistance, and a successful backtest to flip this previous resistance into support could be necessary in order to continue higher up towards this 530 level. So I'm going to be looking out for this arc, right? It might not happen anytime soon. It could come back up to this conversion line to 475, get rejected, then roll over and come back down, right? But this is my ultimate target for the Qs, right? Right down here, which in my opinion is still more confluence of a rotation into the IWM and possibly even growth stocks, right? So now those are my thoughts on the indices. Let's go check out some individual stocks. And now let's check out CrowdStrike. It's getting hammered recently from the high, but again, chart did predict the high, right? It did reach that orange level and got rejected massively. And the warning sign was, I mentioned this before, is it wicked up here, but then this red candle, and which was a sign that it's not ready to continue higher. And sure enough, it just collapsed after that with that news. And now it's even losing this arc as a support level. But that's still nothing to fear yet, as price could just come back down to retest the bottom of the cloud here around 225 and to find a bottom in order to continue higher and higher. But this level could hold as well, because if you look to the left of the chart, there was this low here that was at 238.61, and price is currently below that, but this weekly candle could just turn into a wick and still close below this low, which would be still more indication that price is ready to go higher. And not only that, if you look even more to the left, you have this candle right here that wicked up to 242. So essentially, this candle is just retesting a range right now of this consolidation period right here and this previous high way back here, right? So this is nothing to worry about yet. This is still a very bullish formation for the high time frame. You can see from the bottom, it did explode a lot. So just some consolidation around these levels is really no big deal in order to continue higher and higher. So things are looking not good in the short term, but longer term, things are looking okay for a continuation back higher. And next we have Tesla. And Tesla is one of your favorites, I know, and it's also one of my favorites as well. And we can see that on the weekly chart that this weekly candle did close above last week, that conversion line of 219.21. But more importantly, this Fibonacci level, this is from the all-time high down to the January 2023 low, this 382 level right here, the weekly candle yesterday opened above it. But not only that, it also opened within the cloud as well, right there, and currently it's above the cloud. So what is this really telling us? This is telling me specifically that this is trying to confirm this new trading range, right? It's trying to confirm this 382 level to the 0.5 level is in fact the new trading range, and it does not want to go lower to these lower levels. This is what it's saying to me right now. And when we look to the future cloud here, it's also green, right? It flipped green, which is a good thing for a continuation higher and higher, right? And if we put on that SMA, you can see some resistance there of that 200-week moving average. So this needs to get above that for a really bullish continuation. So I'm going to be watching these levels for the rest of the week. The 233.12, I want to see a weekly candle above that for a bullish continuation higher. But if it doesn't happen, I still want to see a weekly candle close above the 382 and more specifically back above this cloud around 226. So basically a weekly close above 226 is what I'm really aiming for. And to be really bullish, I want to see a weekly close above that 233.12. So to confirm this new trading range, right? Because if these levels hold, price will not go lower, right? This will continue higher and higher until the 50% level breaks to continue higher. And let me just show you the angles chart real quick. And Tesla on the angles chart that I've shown you last week, that support held perfectly when I was saying on Friday, this is a support zone, this is great, don't be afraid, this is great, right? And so now this is currently above and not even close to breaking that support at all, right? And lastly, if we check out this chart right here, it's actually even trying to break back above my blue angle, right? Which is even more bullish, right? And again, this is more confirmation right here that this arc held as a support and that it wants to go higher, right? So even more importantly, above that 226 level I mentioned, this angle sits around 228, right? Right around 228, maybe 228.50 or so. So if there's a weekly candle close back above this angle here, then that's going to get me even more bullish to continue higher, even though it's still stuck under that 200-week moving average. But this development is looking like it does not want to go lower yet. But for confirmation, I'm going to wait for the weekly candle close on Friday. And next I got Enphase here, and this one is looking very interesting right now. So last week it broke above everything. This week it's back testing levels, and it's actually at the bottom of the cloud here, which looks fantastic. And the 50-week moving average does sit here at 113.31, but the week's not over yet, right? So this could just be a wick below support levels, and then Friday could close back above everything, right? So I'm watching these levels currently, and if this holds as a support, then this is looking mighty bullish for a continuation higher towards the 150s up here. And I think this could be an opportunity to accumulate more, if not already, simply because it's holding this support right now. So I'm watching 111, maybe even the 50 week around 113.31 as a support level. And if those levels hold, then I really think it's time to go higher and higher for in phase. Plus, if you look over here, the future cloud is green as well. So this is a good sign that momentum could be shifting for some positive price action after this successful backtest. So going to be watching these levels perfectly, really closely going into the weekly close to see how things develop. Now, NVIDIA, this is a perfect example of rotating out of a stock, right? So this is getting rotated out of and into the small caps, into everything else, which means I really think this baseline is going to get hit, right? I think that now at 103.50, I believe that's going to happen. And not only that, it's even possible to backtest the previous all-time highs back here in the mid 90s, right? I think that's also a possibility now because of this rotation. It's clear to see that this conversion line was flipped to a resistance, and now it's gravitating lower. And price likes to gravitate to the path of least resistance, and currently that's down, and currently that target is now 103. And when I put on my GAN as well, you can see that it's right at my 45-degree angle, and it's also going back to retest the arc, right, as well. But what's important to notice is my blue level right here never got back tested, and that actually coincides with the previous all-time highs here, which coincides at $96, right? So it could wick below even to the bottom arc around 93 or so. So the momentum now has shifted to the downtrend, right? It shifted downwards, and it looks like it wants to at least go to 103.50, if not more. So gonna see how this week closes, because if this 45-degree angle does hold, then perhaps more time will catch up to allow this baseline to catch up to price, right? So just this weekly close is important, right? If it closes back above that 109, 109.50 level, back above my 45, then it's possible that this will just allow more time to catch up to, or more time for this baseline to catch up to price, right? So it's not necessarily going to drop there immediately. It could be a little bit more patient, right? But just got to wait for this weekly close to see what happens. But so far, the trend has reversed from bullish to temporary bearish, right? So short term, it looks like it wants to go down, but longer term, it still looks. And next, I'm going to take a look at ARKK, and this one is just backtesting levels too. It's looking like after this breakout above the 50-week moving average, it's just coming back down to retest it. And last week it did. It did wick through those levels and came back up and closed above the conversion line. And this time it's wicking down below us again. Could come back down to the 45.19 levels to retest that 50-week moving average, but it's in the cloud. The cloud's green. The only resistance above really is the baseline and the top of the cloud right up here around $47. But now it's a little bit below the conversion line at 45.95 as well. So that could be some resistance, but just going to see how this week closes. But this is a normal situation for continuation higher. Like it already backtested the 100-week moving average perfectly after it broke out above right here. So there's really no reason to go back there. It also backtested that blue angle here. No reason to go back there. So this is looking good for a continuation higher and higher as well. Just got to be a little bit more patient because of this resistance above here in the $46 to $47 range. And lastly, I'm going to do here is Palantir. And Palantir, it is essentially already backtested that 50% level from the all-time high to the all-time low, right? This is essentially perfect backtest. And even the conversion line now is matching up with that 25.40 level as well. So could price continue lower to retest it again? Yes, that's possible, but I just think that's a good opportunity to try to accumulate more, in my opinion, because this is looking really bullish, right? If you look at market structure here, a huge bullish engulfing candle up to the 50% level, came back down to the 382, new trading range, right? This is what exactly Tesla is trying to do a new trading range. And then it came back up and broke free of it. It broke free of the 50, came back down and successfully back tested this previous range. Perfectly bullish, should make its way back up to the 618 and beyond. But it could just have some weakness first because of the rotation that's going on. So no need to rush, in my opinion. I think there still could be a few more weeks of weakness. And once it finds its higher low, for sure, around this 50% level, maybe a wick below is possible as well to scare some people. But this is looking really good for the future. And I would not worry about any short-term weakness because longer term, it looks like it wants to break out eventually. So all in all, everything is going according to plan. And essentially, IWM and the Dow Jones are breaking out, right? They are breaking above resistance. This is great. While the SPX and the QQQ, they are trending lower, right? They hit a resistance, they hit a wall, and they're trending lower. So this is a clear rotation to me. So anything that is small cap or possibly growth related could be doing well, right? And anything that's had a massive run recently, like NVDA, those will probably be slowing down a little bit, but it doesn't change the fact that they are long-term bullish, right? Short-term momentum is a little bit negative, but longer term, everything is still pretty bullish. And I really believe once they start cutting rates, then we'll have an everything rally and everything will go up, including crypto at the same time.